welcome to my very first and last tutorial because I am not a YouTuber at all. There was a lot of blood, sweat and tears that went into making this hobby horse. I did come across I came across a video of a girl that used expanding foam and her hobby horse head was absolutely massive. It is pretty large, but don't be fooled because it's really not heavy. It's like top heavy. Like if I was to go like that, it's a little bit. There were times where I really felt like giving up because I couldn't find certain materials that would work. I got upset with the way that it looked a lot of the time, but I found that, you know, when you're working on a project, if you have your eyes set on it for weeks and months, sometimes you kind of need to step away and not look at it for a while and then come back. So I'm just gonna do a lot of it on desktop and go through my video with you guys and some photos as well. I will turn it on and show the settings that it has. So it's just on, and then we got fast, flash, slow, and then off. This is actually a baby wipe container lid. The things that are expensive from making this is, I would have to say, probably the amount of expanding foam that I used. I used more than I needed to because some materials do not bond well together as where others do. Foam clay, I didn't even know that it was a thing until I looked more into like making cosplay stuff. You can basically shape and mold it like blue tack. Also, if you make a mistake, it's really easy to go back because you can wet it and reshape and mold it. You can cut it with scissors. It's really, really, really good. This stuff is great. I also made the bow for the dress. That's about as accurate that I could get with foam clay. And I'll pause it. Okay, so the first one, I went out and got a big piece of art paper and I drew on it just with like the Sharpie. Just like, it doesn't matter what you use, laundry marker, Sharpie, whatever. And used this knife here. It's really, really sharp. And I completely destroyed this rug. It's not on my floor anymore because, just so you know, you should probably put down something to protect your carpet or your mat because the expanding foam, you think that it won't stick to it even when it's dry. It does, and it destroys everything. I actually carved the entire thing with this knife here, and it obviously, like, that's just not coming off. It's important that you put some of the pole into the actual head of the hobby horse, like a lot, as much as you can really, because it needs to be stable. You're not going to be swinging it around, but you want it to be stable. This is what expanding foam looks like after it has set. You have to leave it for like, I think it was like half an hour to an hour. I left it just all afternoon so that way it was completely dry. It is really, really stinky as well, so you need to do it outside. I pretty much used like the edge of the cardboard as a guide and just started going like at the front of his nose, and I left his the horsehair for last. This is where I discovered foam clay. And I was so happy because if you don't use foam clay and you put plaster straight onto the cut expanding foam, there is loads and loads of air stuck inside. So when I was actually doing this, you can't really see it here, but all of these little holes that had been plugged, you could see the air actually the trapped air trying to get out. So it was like kind of bubbling. It's not a good idea to put plaster on it when it's exposed the way that it is. You are better off going over the entire thing with foam clay. I think it's just important to point out that you want the eyes on each side to be even. If they're not even, it's going to look all wonky. So really think about mapping out with the texture. This was the most delicate part of the hobby horse, and when I was cutting it with this knife, I had to go like the tiniest little itty bitty shavings, it was tedious and it was hard and it had me worried, when this entire time I could have just used foam clay. bring it over to this screen. This picture here, because I really wanted to make it as accurate as the model from the game as I possibly could within my ability. You can see next to me, it's only got one line in each hand. Not that it's a big deal. It's really not like a massive deal, but at the time it was to me. I wanted it to be perfect. So don't do what I did. Do one piece of horsehair at a time and put the foam clay on and then shape with your tools and it will look just like that. That's what I really wish that I did do. This is the start of the horn. I went to Spotlight and they had different shapes of styrofoam, either like a pen that doesn't work anymore or a tool, I can't remember, and I just did the line that had to be wrapped around it like that. It looks like that. And then I covered it in plaster. It's gyprock, multi-purpose joint compound, and I got this one from Bunnings. Total waste of money. It's quite costly. I think it was like $50-$60 or something. I'm talking out my ass. I don't know. I think it was that much. It was really, really flaky when it dried. It chipped a lot, so it wasn't very good for what I wanted to do. So I asked someone for help. When I was trying to explain to them what I was doing, they were like, "What are you making? What are you talking about?" Topping compound instead. It was like a little bit better, but we'll get to plaster in a moment. This is when I had to put the light through. I started here with threading the light through. When it swivels around, I don't know how much I'm going to have left over. So the end had to be put on first. I don't know if you can see actually, but there's a whole bunch of spare wire. So I did have a bit more, so I'm really glad that I did do that. I think it was either 2 or 3 meters. I can't remember. Don't get one. You need more than one. What I did was I got my knife and I cut a line all the way up and over. Then I went through here completely and then to the other eye, looped, and then fed it back through the line that was cut there, and then it was swiveled around. Obviously I started here first though. I just explained the entire thing backwards. Start up here, go through the eyes, go down the side. I'm an idiot. It didn't have any definition in its eyes. It was just like, its head was kind of like that, and so was like around this area, like its jaw. It was totally like one. It looked like a giant spike and then like little blob at the end, which was his nose and his mouth. And this is the part that I really needed to step back and not look at it for a while, because I wasn't seeing. I knew that there was something wrong, but I had tunnel vision. I couldn't really quite wrap my head around like what I was doing wrong. This is why foam clay is so good, because look at that. It's just, you can see that it's where it's sticking out, and also the edges were like, you can basically, what I did was I pinched around the eye tightly, and it gives it like that really nice finish, so that when you go over it with the plaster, that's it. It's like pretty much perfect. You don't have to rely on plaster for shaping and things like that, because what's underneath has already done the work for you. The horn actually kept breaking off, so how I fixed that was, and I got really impatient, so I went back out to Bunnings again and I did some research. Problem with glue and foam is that most glues have a type of adhesive in it that will literally melt through foam. It will melt it. So you can't use things like really strong adhesives like super glue. Don't use Gorilla Glue. Don't use anything like that. And then there's other glues that are too weak, like school glue, PVA, things like that. So I needed a glue that was specifically for bonding different types of foam together. Then I used this. It's called Weld Bond. I'm feeling very proud of myself here. I streamed this on Twitch, just the plastering. When I did this, I did very, very thin coats. I only did 2 thin coats, and I mixed it with a very, very small amount of water because it applies better. There's, like, when you sand it, it won't be as streaky, there won't be as many lines. Just keep in mind that when you do finish this phase, it's going to be really, really heavy. These sheets, I don't know, they were thin, so I was like, yeah, that'll work, whatever. And I used 2 whole packets, and you can see these streaks. This is what I'm trying to buff out. After this, you need to really, really do not skip buffing it out with a wet cloth. It makes it, all of those lines just pretty much go away. Well, almost all of them. This is what it looked like after I'd done it. Like all of the details. And it's all sanded, it's ready to go. I'm ready to paint it. I was so excited. It looks beautiful. What I mean by getting rid of those lines. You will still have the lines there. Mine still has lines. They're just not as bad. They're nowhere near as bad. They're nowhere near as noticeable. When I first did it, I was quite upset because I thought that the whole surface was going to be completely smooth, but it wasn't. I'm not sure if it was like the sanding sheets that I used, or if I should have waited 24 hours and then buffed it out with water again, but it's really not the end of the world. Like, it still looks, it still looks great. So this is where I mapped out the lines where I wanted to do the detailing. You can see I made multiple mistakes. I just used the picture as a guide and did it by eye. I did all of the line work first on both sides, so that way I would turn it and know that they were exactly identical, or just really, really closely the same, because you don't want it to be different. A paintbrush and a tray of water, just going up and down like this, not pushing it too much, and then just fixing it with my fingers. What do you call that? That little pyramid thing. I don't know what you would call it. I got it off of Etsy. I typed in flat back punk spikes, and there was this one on there that was perfect, but I had to buy a pack of 50 of them for like $20, and I only needed 2. And the one down at the bottom is actually smaller, but they didn't have any smaller ones, so I ended up just making it out of foam clay. And the dots on the side of the reins, I guess they would be like little clamps. What are they called? I searched flat back pearls on Etsy and I bought a pack as well. Just made sure that I got the measurements right. So with its eyes, where I got these pieces of eye was actually a bottle. The bottle was a spray bottle. I cut it out with the scissors, the shape, but they were bent in the shape of the bottle. So they were circular and rounded. So in this part, you can see me flattening it with a knife and then using a hair dryer on it, and they ended up being flat. So that was perfect. This part, the bottom, this was a massive pain in my ass. I've seen some people make theirs and they're absolutely perfect. I don't know how they made it. I just suck. I hot glued a bunch of it's this really weird styrofoam cardboard stuff that I got from Spotlight. I just cut out. I think I made this bottom piece like four or 5 different times. It really annoyed me, and then I gave up and made the top 2 tier parts just out of foam clay. I'm talking about these parts here. They're just entirely out of foam clay. Underneath that part, you can see underneath the hobby horse, that's all just made out of foam clay as well. It's not perfect, but at that point, I just did not care anymore. And then it's time to paint. I used a primer first. So you could probably find a better primer than this. This is by Squirts. For the color, I used 2 cans of this. It's Rust-Oleum. This color is called, it's just called metallic aluminium. And I had alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and I had cotton tips, and I got the cotton bud tip and just cleaned around the edges. Then for the detailing on the sides, like the lacy type of stuff, I had to go around the whole entire outside with it. It was really painful, I will be honest, and I just wanted it to be over. with the ears, that's something that I was going to mention before and then I stopped. Whoops. Because you have so much leftover expanding foam, you may as well try and use it. I just carved the ears. They looked really, really bad, but I pretty much I carved them as best as I could. But with the bottom, they cannot be flat. They have to arch because the horse's head, it arches. So I actually cut 2 holes in its head, and this is after the plastering phase. That was sort of like triangular, and I covered the ears with foam clay. Then I plastered them, sanded them, buffed them all the same like I did with the rest of it. And then I got this and stuck them in. I actually did drop the horse head during this phase that you see in the video right now, and they just didn't come off, but it did actually kind of chip a little bit around the bottom. So I just got some foam clay and pushed that, and it totally fixed it. Foam clay is the best. I got the chain. Where did I get the chain from? Oh, I typed in Halloween plastic chain in Shein and got that, but I spray painted it because I hated how it looked. It was really ugly. When I wanted to seal it, at first I wanted to use this. I'm stuttering. Polyurethane water-based, which is the best for what the surface was, which is the spray paint. This is what apparently is really great, and you're supposed to mix like 1 parts water, 2 or 3 parts, I don't know. It was not good. It looked like water drops on the hood of a car, like it just wouldn't bond with it. And then I used a very small amount of water mixed with Mod Podge. This went on really nicely. It's Gloss Lustre, water-based glue, sealer and finish. It looked great. It will show up white, but don't be afraid, it dries clear. But other than that, that's pretty much it. But all in all, I'm really, really proud. The whole thing was sealed as well, even the pole. And that's it.